right. Well, thank you for tuning in to Unity Gain. I'm sitting in here with my good friend, my best friend, Jimmy Caterine. Now, it's no news to anybody. Jimmy Caterine and I have HereAfter together as a project. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about first today was not HereAfter. I want to talk about Sacred Rite. So the thing about Sacred Rite, R-I-T-E, is I remember hearing about Sacred Rite years and years ago and having people be not Sacred Reich, Sacred Rite. So the two bands were happening at the same time. A lot of people got it confused, but this is long before you even moved here. I heard the name. I heard people correcting me. And I just want to say real quick, I got to admit, when you gave me your CDs and your record, I went in and I started listening to the CDs. I had never listened to this back in the day. And I got to admit 100% that I'm glad that I had missed it back in the day because it would have changed our whole working dynamic. I'd have been a fanboy and it would be a way different dynamic. I'm glad to discover this later in life than early on when this came out. So Jimmy Caterine.
But I still try not to be a douche nozzle no matter what.
You try. Not to be a douche nozzle. But let's go. Take me back here. I don't know if I have your complete discography, but take me back. What is the first Sacred Rite record that was released? We have The Ritual, Nothing Sacred, Resurrection. Is this self-titled?
Yeah, it's self-titled. See, these were re-releases actually. This one was like 2013. It actually was a re-release from by Marquee Records in Brazil.
Okay.
Which we had done another re-release earlier of our complete anthology in 2002. Sentinel Steel out of New Jersey did it, of course, distributed all over the world, blah, blah, blah.
So is this your first record?
That is a reissue of the first record.
This is a reissue of the first record. Now, is this also, this vinyl print, a reissue of the first record?
This is a reissue of the vinyl. The original cover that we did, like when we were, 18 years old, we sat there and said, let's do a white album like the Beatles.
So you have three different record covers for this, three different covers for this record.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is where it all began. This Sacred Rite, self-titled. Take us back. How and when? What year is this?
We started jamming together in like 81. I mean, Mark and I and Kevin. I mean, it was Kevin and I first, and then my drummer and myself, and we just sifted through every musician in Hawaii. I mean, we went through them, and we were just looking for the right people, and I got Mark. Mark's great. He could sing. We were like, he can sing. He can play guitar and he can sing. So it was like we thought that would be a plus. And we went through several bass players. We actually played for a while before Pete, but Pete was our bass player that was just kind of filling in. His name was Porter Miller, who's still a good friend of mine. He filled in until he went to college. He took off to college, and we're like, man, we're down a bass player. We got to find someone. So we went. We saw Pete playing at a school. It was like a school gymnasium with the band, and Pete was playing bass and singing. And I thought, man, okay, another singer, who was very good on bass, And we got him, and then we were the typical band. We did covers for a little while, and we played a lot of parties and blah blah blah. But then we started writing. I think I might have written the first song, and then it kind of was then it was like an avalanche,
So at that point, you guys are trying to find the sound too. Did the sound just evolve based on who you were, or did you sit down and say, "This is what we want to sound like"?
It wasn't like that. We didn't really decide what we wanted to sound like. We were listening to Priest, like pre Screaming for Vengeance, like the older.
I know
stuff,
you said it. You said the year, but say it one more time, man. Numbers just jump right out of my head.
We'd started jamming in 80-ish.
So this is early 1980.
Yeah, we got
81,
we got Pete in 82.
Okay.
So this is when we became us, and was about 82-ish. Oh, actually, no, I got Pete before that, 81.
Okay, so Pete
So-
joins the band.
so-
You guys start writing.
And when we started writing, Pete and I went. We actually how we developed the sound. We had 3 or 4 songs that we had written. They were pretty cool. We were throwing them in our cover sets and stuff. We Pete and I decided to the year I graduated, which was '82. I decided that I was going to I could go to the West Coast and just kind of hang out on the West Coast for a month and a half. And I asked Pete if he wanted to go with me. So he's like, sure. So he was 17, I was 18 when we flew from Hawaii to the West Coast, and we rented a car and we drove up and down from LA to Seattle, and every time we'd stop, whether it be in the forest or we stopped at my grandmother's house for about 3 or 4 days, and we stayed there, and we, wherever we were at, we had our guitars with us, and we wrote, we probably wrote 90% of all this material that summer,
Wow.
which is, and we
With acoustic guitars. And it's funny how nature is a great
oh yeah,
source of inspiration.
yeah. So we did all that and came up with riffs, and then we came back and the guys were like, oh my God, they were really into it. And then of course Mark wrote some songs, after we'd come back, because I guess the competition,
Yeah, exactly. You got to have competition.
And it was good. And then we just let's shop for a label. Let's release it ourselves, because we had just bought the Queensryche EP, on their label and everything and they sold so many on their own. I thought, man, we'll do it ourselves, and we did. And
yeah, you did it like you advertised through like fan magazines and things like that. You were or hip paraders and circus magazines.
yeah, well,
and things?
that's how it started. We released this, and Dutch East India Trading, which was like a distribution company, but they didn't just distribute music. They moved like all sorts of different merchandise, but I started distributing the record through them. They went and they managed to get it into their main ports of distribution were like Holland and Belgium and Germany, and we started getting calls from labels, Axe Killer and Megaton in Germany, or in Holland, Axe Killer in France, and so we thought, man, no, this is cool. But we'd already sold so many on our own.
Yeah, just independent.
Independently.
And that was this original cover.
We sold
White
1,000
Album?
of these, and then we did a new cover. Okay, so we did. a
Okay,
brand
so
new
let's
cover.
break
So-
it apart, right? Because on the outer cover, the White Album.
Yeah, this is the White Album. Then we redid it.
These sleeves, man, these are drag. So anyway, you redid it.
Oh, you can't.
With this other cover inside is really cool. Now
Yeah.
help me out though. This is the reissue. So
Yeah, this is
you
the reissue.
initially self-released it with the White Album.
Yes.
Then you released it a second time. So what I'm holding here is a recent reissue
Yes.
on a Greek label or something
yes,
like that,
No
right?
Remorse from
on No
Greece.
Remorse Records.
Yes.
And so they took both covers
And they
and
slid them
made
in
a
each other,
commemorative thing.
which was kind of cool.
So when you got signed to the first major distribution or major label?
No, I released the second one as well.
Oh, you did this
because we sold these so fast. We sold the white one so fast. We sold the white one so fast that I had to do something. So we a friend of ours had done some artwork. In fact, he was the manager.
It's very heavy metal. It looks like the heavy metal movie.
Yeah, and he was the manager at Tower Records at the time. So he would hook us up all the time with all the new metal, with everything that was coming in, imports and shit. So I, and he was an artist. So I said, hey, you want to do our cover? Hell yeah, I want to do it. So he did this cover, and I released another 3,000 or 4,000 copies of this, sold all those, and then Axe Killer signed this with this cover.
Okay.
So it was kind of and of course, everybody, Kerrang got a hold of me. I don't know if you're familiar with Kerrang.
Kerrang magazine,
and Metal Forces and Ard Shock, just all of those European magazines. And then it started leaking into South America too. But if you remember back at that time, South America, they kind of had to, a lot of parts of South America had to, they were living off bootleg tapes and they were sneaking them in because the religious thing going on down there, they didn't look highly on like heavy metal and this.
So
kind
it
of
was an
music.
underground thing.
So it was an underground
So they
thing.
had like a hyper conservative.
They did. Things have changed.
Or have they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving forward, Megaton did sign us for our second record, and out of Holland, distributed all over Europe, and we decided to stay with them just because they were so cool. I liked the people that.
This is which label again? Say it again.
Megaton.
Okay.
Out of Holland, and I just liked the people. Even back then, me personally, I didn't care about money too much. I cared more about who I was working with. If I was happy, that was more important to me. Which I'm still that way.
Yeah, that makes sense because you really don't know how successful financially something's going to be anyway. You just want to be happy doing what you're doing and hope for the best. Yeah,
and it was getting out there. So
who wants to kill themselves for pennies on the dollar?
And but our third record, which this was our second record. In fact, this record we recorded half the record, half of it's recorded live. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But,
now this is the one with the Beatles cover on it too.
no, that's the second record. The third record is the one I'm getting to now, which is
oh yeah, we listened to this, you and I together.
Yeah.
And half of it is live.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then this is the one that has the Beatles cover on it. But this record was actually released in 86.
Which one is this?
Originally,
What's it called?
It's Nothing Sacred.
Nothing Sacred.
And this one didn't do as well in Europe, but it got a little bit of traction. When I say a little bit of traction, I mean, we were still underground. So, but in the United States, which was kind of cool, but it was because of the Eleanor Rigby and also because Restless, Medusa, Restless, it was a Capitol subsidiary, signed it in the United States. So this one, got us. It's just unfortunately, the band just made a mistake. We should have, when that first record was selling, we should have hightailed it to Europe. We should have just hightailed to Europe, put any fears of going from this little island in the Pacific and just go straight there, because I think things would have gone a lot better, but we struggled, all through all this. And, it's had longevity. In other words, people still buy this stuff. I mean, we reissued it, twice, then reissued the vinyl in 2019, it still sells. I mean, of course, to a cult market.
Yeah, right.
But still,
but it's a classic metal sound.
Oh, yeah.
It sits right in there with Iron Maiden. It sits right in there with everything that was happening at the time. You know what I mean? To me, it has a very, very classic metal sound. If I had discovered this when I was in high school, dude, I would have been blown away by this stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right up your alley.
It's right up my alley. Yeah, totally. And I'm lucky now because I get to play in the Hereafter with you and Pete both. And Pete's the secret sauce in anything, man.
Always.
The way he plays bass, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
So you did have a reunion.
We Kevin, our drummer, passed away in 2002, and we had some backlog, a few songs backlog that we.
The band was already defunct at this point.
we broke up in like 90-ish, and just it became a money thing. It was just hard. It became difficult to keep doing what we were doing and not see some substantial money. We were living out of hotel rooms and stuff. It was starting to get,
Yeah, you guys were touring
Oh yeah,
like relentlessly all over the United States in a van, right?
yeah, and a big old truck. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, how long can you keep up when everybody starts growing up and wanting to have families and,
yeah, it's
and
all that
lives
stuff,
and all that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, but this record, we had we had talked about it after the first reissue in 2002. He said, "Man, let's record those songs." But then our drummer passed away, and it was a bummer. So what we did was we actually got some of the old tracks, the old drum tracks and what have you, and we took some drum machines, some programming, and we took original drum tracks and we blended them together. Like this was our first real sit down at the computer and start
Whole new way of
doing it that way.
New way of making records for you, right?
Yeah. So we worked on this from about 2003 until about 2006. We released it in 2007. But it just took a long time.
Well, so all of your original records were recorded in Hawaii
In
at
studios,
analog studios,
everything.
to tape, and
Yeah.
cutting and splicing and doing it in a completely different way.
Yeah, that's where
and
I
then you
learned-
take these old reels or whatever tracks you had that hadn't been used, and you're like converting them into the new way of doing things in computers, right?
It's all it was there was just a lot of work done.
Yeah.
And then we were all Pete, myself, and Mark. We all worked on it together, so all from 3 different places. This was the first of this kind of thing that I'd done, and which is why it took us like 3 years to record it, because it was so much trial and error, getting the sounds, the editing, doing the long distance thing.
Yeah.
And,
well, now that's your thing.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that's
The
my
long
thing.
distance. I mean, you still work quite a bit with Gerard, Gonzalez out of
Hawaii,
right. So
yes.
Tin Idol Productions,
Yes.
and you're doing with him like a record a month.
No, not that much.
It sure feels like it.
No, he does about 5 a year or 6. I don't work on all of them anymore. Working on all of them was too taxing, because
Some of the projects you play on, other of the projects you just mix and master.
Yes. I usually play on any of the Sin 73 stuff. That was like our thing. I kind of did that with Gerard. So we do. I still will do the Sin 73, and then he asks me to play on, a guitar track here or a guitar track there, because, because he knows if I'm recording the guitar track, he doesn't have to deal with it. I mean, he doesn't have to deal with tracking. He doesn't have to deal with editing. He doesn't have to deal with, telling a guitar player what to play.
Yeah, it's one less thing on his plate. Well, and that's how you and I came to do HereAfter.
Yes.
So Gerard was putting together, because he keeps the category open in the Hawaiian Music Awards,
Yes.
right? He keeps he fought to get the heavy metal category in the awards, and he fights to keep it open, but he has to have X number of submissions. There's other labels that submit and that sort of thing, but there has to be enough going in to keep the category open, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's how HereAfter became another project. And I came into that. I've worked on the Partridge Family thing with you. And so there's a thing. But I guess my point, at one point, you and I were playing like a Dio show together or something. And you said, well, you do it. I've been on like 45 records. And in my mind, I thought you were saying, I've been doing this so long, I'm on 45 records, right?
Yeah, it's not 45 anymore, by the way.
Right. I mean, it's got to be way more than that.
Well, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say records, some of them are nowadays everyone's releasing singles.
Right.
And so once the singles start,
but when we say record, when I
record,
say record, I'm saying like anything recorded. It's been recorded, whether it's a single, an EP, or a label. In terms of like production credits or guitarist credits or things like that, the total has got to be 50 some odd, almost 60 now.
69.
You're at 69
I'm
now.
at 69. Yeah, I looked last night. I was curious. I was like, holy, but but Gerard's been doing things a little differently lately. He's been doing a lot of singles, because that seems to be uh, the the way that things are now. People are releasing, a single every 3 months, and then putting the record together. And
Yeah, just so that they constantly have something out there.
Yeah, I'm not. I still can't get into it.
I can appreciate it, and I can get into it, and I understand it. And I was just having this conversation with Shane Christensen.
I watched that. I found it very interesting.
So yeah, same thing. Like they put out 3 EPs now, rather than just saying let's do a record. But they're hitting stuff out on a regular basis. And his mindset, you saw the interview. They're like, well, the majority of the listening public takes a song here, takes a song there, and he's absolutely right. Yet, I still want to make records. I still want to make something that has an idea behind it, and it takes a lot longer to put that stuff out.
Right. Well, it's like your $12.
Yeah, right. We got our $12 royalty the other day.
We got $25
Frame that shit.
In a royalty.
Would you say it equated to 65,000 full streams?
Yes, 0.00038 cents per stream. I calculated it to the money, almost 65,000 streams. I'm like, what happened to sales? Imagine if you ever see those ads? I'm flipping through Facebook. I see those ads. Learn how to get 10,000 streams. What's 10,000 streams going to make you? $5? It's like...
Yeah, it's real hard to make money in the music business these days. I guess that's... Now you're really separating the artist from, the person who just wanted to have dreams of making it big and living in a mansion, right? I mean, artists today really are they're putting in just like playing gigs, just like anybody who plays a gig, you've got way more invested in your time and equipment than you're ever going to hope to make from it. It's got to be a passion project. It's got to be something you love to do.
We're back to the times when, you had your minstrels and they like to create they like to create their music and whatever, but they're playing for the king, and the king says, if you want to have a chicken leg today, I need you to come in here and play.
Yeah. If we go play for the king's court, we get fed.
Yeah,
right, and we get awesome exposure, right?
Yeah, awesome exposure, but nobody else can hire us,
right?
Because
that's the old days.
Nobody
man.
else has money.
People back then had patrons, right? Somebody would pay for the artist to do it. That's where we're going wrong. We need to find patrons to just keep us in.
Well, the new model makes the old model. The one that we all talked about. Oh man, can you believe those record labels? They screw you all the time. What do we get? 50 cents per record? I wish we got that now. Think about it. Would you rather at 65,000 records sold, even at 50 cents a record? How much would that be? That'd be over $30,000. We'd have more money than we would for the $25 for the.
Well, and there's so many
streams.
ins and outs, like with the whole business thing, and I don't even really understand. You understand numbers better than I do. You could tell me numbers all day long, and they just zip right through my head. But but there used to be a mandated royalty percentage. So for things being played on the radio or things being played on TV or any of these same things, but particularly radio. If it got played on the radio, there was a certain amount of royalty versus what happens in streams today.
And there still is, like television, radio. There still is, and I think the percentage is still the same.
Yeah, but the digital realm just was the old. It was this new thing. It happened, and nobody's gone in to demand or to regulate. The industry is just so ingratiated in the way this is that
they're trying to.
It's never going to go back.
But they're trying to regulate it, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like that. Well, okay. Well, we got them up to 0.00038 cents.
Yeah.
So,
well, you see artists like Steven Tyler, or you see Roger Waters talks about it a lot. All these people, they're in Washington all the time fighting, and of course they've already made their money. They're out there fighting for the new people, knowing that nobody's ever going to hit any kind of level of financial success. It could, I guess when when the industry is such that it's almost impossible to reach financial success, most people go find something else to do, and the art form can collapse.
Right.
You know, that's the real danger. Is like, you know, how many people are like, well, I'll just go play for the church. I'll just do this or whatever, you know, play something on the side. But a lot of people, they just don't put the effort into doing it because they don't see it as, you know, something that's going to make up for their investment in time and equipment.
I'm still making it work. I'm still
You're making it work
for me.
Well, you do production work, right?
Yeah,
So you're getting
production. You know, I do administrative work too. I do administrative work for some bands, and you know, when I do administrative work, I mean, you know, I'm opening businesses for them, you know, for their band, their brand, whatever. I'm doing. You know, I'm taking care of their copyrights. I'm most of the time I'll administer their publishing. So I mean, and you know, I tell them all going in, you know, you know, there are no guarantees of anything. You know, I'm just getting you set up. So if you do hit on something, or you do,
if you hit the jackpot,
starts coming in,
you're
not gonna be all screwed up like somebody that doesn't take care of this.
Right. Yeah, all the channels are set up, and that makes perfect sense because you never really do know. I mean, look how many books get put out by publishers and go right to the shelf, and then find themselves, you know, 6 months later in the bargain bin at the dollar store or whatever it is. You know, versus how many books become bestsellers. You know, there's even in every industry, there's the thing that breaks, and there's a lot that don't, but every single one of those things has to have all the I's dotted and T's crossed, because you don't know what's going to be success. You don't know what's going to take off.
Right.
You want to be prepared no matter what. So let me say this then, or ask this, because we discussed how the Sacred Rite stuff started in the 80s. You did all these analog studio recordings. You've had tons of reissues. The different labels, different countries have reissued this stuff over the last almost 40 years now, when you think about it. And then you did the most recent Resurrection. Is there anything, like, are you guys going to do any more Sacred Rite stuff, or where's that sit right now?
You just never know. I mean, you just never know.
There's no talk or plans at this point?
We talk about it. We joke about it. We dream about it. But it's things are different. It's I mean, if the spark happens, it's about, you know, because the music has to still it still needs to have that sound, you know what I mean? It just, you know, it is what it is. It evolved, but it still sounds like us, and so I think our writing's changed, you know. And I just took the two most likely candidates for Sacred Rite albums, and I put them on the HereAfter record. So, you know.
Well, they fit right in with the HereAfter.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean?
They
It's
do.
like when you've got Pete too. You've got that writing sensibility. It makes sense, you know, that whatever you and Pete do together is going to sound like
It's gonna,
this or that, you know. And then you get
in
Mark in there, you know. I mean, it'd be very easy to turn a HereAfter song into a Sacred Rite or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you've got such elements, you know, just between you and Pete as the rhythm section.
See, that's how we get. If we need that extra guitar and that extra and that extra vocal that Steve isn't going to give us, let's just call Mark.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we could open for ourselves. We could take turns. Like, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. We have this new record. We've been working on it for a while. Like, we've got
2 years.
the first HereAfter record that we did on Tin Idol.
Yep.
And that was, you know, I mean, I thank you for bringing me back in. You know what I mean? I had the Logic in my computer for almost a decade and hardly even scratched the surface, barely even opened it up or used it for anything.
To the point where everything you had paid for, you had to pay for it again because it was obsolete.
Totally. For all the times in my life where I said, if I had the ability to record, I'd be recording all the time, and I did nothing until you were like, hey, I've got this project, I've got these tracks, you want to do it, and that's how the HereAfter thing started, right?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah, it totally worked out, and of course it should be said, that Gerard and Darren both have backed out of this project. They had too much going on, other things going on. We took the HereAfter. It's now it's our project. We're moving forward with it. We filled out the lineup. We brought in Pete on the bass, Pete Crane, and then we brought in
Steve Hambrick
on the drums, and it changes the style. Some people have heard this, and then I've let them hear a couple advanced tracks, and they're like, "Dude, this is way different." You know what I mean?
No, it's way different.
You can hear how we evolved.
Because this was this record is a little more core. Like it's more core, more the pockets on more straight kind of grooves with. And it's more core, and
yeah, it just kind of songs. They get to the point,
and
in and out,
yeah,
not a lot of parts.
And Pete and Steve, they're just it takes a whole progressive turn. Plus, the writing is more progressive too.
Yeah,
you start writing some of that, and I'm like, holy shit, okay, yeah. And so,
Yeah, there was discussion early on. You were like, I don't know. I mean, it's just, are you going to sing like you did on the last one? Are you going to do this stuff? And I was like, well, yeah. There was talk. We were like, well, we have the opportunity now. We can do whatever we want. We can totally change. So it's
but you are singing a lot of stuff just like this.
Yeah, I still get into like the low guttural things. I'm still overdubbing. You're still combining a lot of layered tracks, but I'm singing more melodically.
Yeah.
There's more dynamics in the vocal.
Yeah.
And the songs have more dynamics. They have more parts. They don't follow the same. They're not like repetitive passages. Each song has a different kind of thing. I'm really liking it.
Well, I'm really into it. I just I want it done now.
Yeah.
Well,
done. So where are we at this point? We've got 13 songs completely written, 13 songs almost completely recorded. We're waiting on keys.
Seven tracks are done. We need some guitar solos and keyboards for 5 or 6 tracks.
Yeah, and then we're done. Yeah. And so, originally we were going to put this out. We were going to just self-promote. We were going to put it out on our own. Now we're going to shop it for
we'll
label distribution or...
Yes, especially, I mean, if that Purified video sparked people to go look at the old stuff to, combined whatever 2-3 tunes that they listen to, listen to 65,000 times, it's worth just checking into it. I'd rather see if I can't get. I mean, wouldn't you rather see if they, you could get a few $1,000s for your wares?
Yeah, you know what I mean. But more important, for me, I want this thing to be heard.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean. So it's not a matter of money for me or hoping that we can make more money on this or that. It's just that hopefully, we can get it through more ears.
Yeah,
that's really where it's at for me.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing, that's what someone that does it with 50 other bands can do. They can put it in their little portfolio and get it in front of a lot of eyes and ears. And if like always, it's still going to get released no matter what. But I like the idea of taking this step first.
Yeah, and taking our time, putting it out there. Yeah, I mean, we were initially hoping to have it out by last fall.
Yeah, but we didn't have a keyboard player.
Right.
So we did, but we didn't.
Yeah. So there was some delay, there was some wait, and that kind of thing. But by the time we finally got things moving again, we got Eric Barker on the keys. Holy shit.
Yeah. Great.
And the more I listen to the tracks that he submitted so far, the more I realize he's exactly the right person for this. He's the right creative sensibility exactly in terms of tone, in terms of flavors, and where he plays and when he doesn't play. Yeah. I couldn't be happier with what he's doing.
I love it too. In fact, Eric is playing a festival this weekend. In fact, probably today.
Yeah, he moved from Hawaii to Alaska, and he's already
Yeah, he's already got
knee
a
deep in
festival
work.
he's doing.
Yeah.
It's a bluegrass festival, so I'm sure.
But that's the beauty of playing keyboards.
Yeah, but I'm sure he's having a good old time because he's got, Eric. He likes to mess around with his ukulele
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah.
So he's probably playing keys up there, and he's gonna give him a chance to get out and probably pluck on the ukulele a little bit.
Yeah. He's a super diverse musician. But, that's the thing, like we all are in this project. Each of us in this project plays multiple instruments, and we understand
how it works.
How the pieces, we know how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting because we're not sitting in the same room, like it'd be way easier if we were, we could be like, what are you playing? What are you doing here? Okay, how about this? And we could discuss, we could all these things, but we record and we send it out and we get it back. And there's not a whole lot of being able to change. And there hasn't been a whole lot of need to.
No, everybody knows what everybody
Yeah.
hears.
Everybody knows what pocket to fill. And everybody knows how to fill it. I'm really digging what we're doing. How would you describe it musically?
It still falls in the progressive metal category.
Think
but
so?
But I think it has so many diverse movements, into, more classic sounding, where it goes off into these.
Yeah,
places.
see, a lot of people, like especially me, will think progressive metal and they think real technical arpeggiated sweeps
No.
like insane time signatures and things like that. Whereas we have some time signatures and some progressive elements in technical elements. This one's really
Maybe
much
it's more progressive.
Yeah, exactly. Like because like there's an undeniable Pink Floyd influence in this music.
Sure.
In terms of psychedelia, in terms of even just some of the movements of the songs.
Yeah.
There's undeniable. There's times where certain things, like even just the tone of your Marshall, sometimes reminds me of Iron Maiden, just in terms of tone. Pete, as a bass player, is like Steve Harris meets Tony Levin meets Chris Squire. He's like Paul McCartney. Yeah, I mean, he's got so many elements in his bass playing that come in. Sometimes it reminds me of Maiden, sometimes it reminds me of the Beatles, sometimes it reminds me of Pink Floyd or Alice in Chains. But it's, these are just undeniable influences that poke through. You hear them everywhere through the record.
Well, you can't, we're not going to be able to get away from our influences. It's always going to, our influences are what, those are things that came in, and through ourself, some of that lives on.
Well, totally, because you look at it this way. It's like, what kind of music do you like? What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of music do you like to play along with? And then when you come down to actually writing and making your own music, the choices you make are based entirely on, do you like it? You know what I mean? So your stuff is eventually going to start to sound like the stuff you like, and so it's undeniable. There's a fine line between a blatant ripoff of an influence and just being able to pick out those influences. I think we balance that really well. Nothing sounds like a ripoff to me, but certainly things will poke out.
I don't hear nothing makes me go, that sounds just like that. Now, every now and then I hear a passage and I'll go, that's what that's from. Even, just because
it's that chord change or whatever it is.
I know exactly what influenced that. It'll come out. I'll know exactly what influenced that. But it's just a little piece of something.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound just like it.
Right. But the vibe is there. You're like, clearly there's a vibe. And there were some places where, in some cases I wrote songs very specifically saying, here's what I'm saying in the song, and I want it to have another brick in the wall kind of aspect. I want the children singing. I want this sort of thing. You know what I mean? And so they're different, but it's those elements all throughout. There's so many different people we have playing on this record. We have Kathy King and Therese Cudmore playing strings, cello and violin, respectively, and they did countless overdubs to make a gigantic string section. Now, is that mixed also with keyboards playing strings, or is that all real strings?
That's all real strings. They actually didn't do that many. It sounds like that, but it was the room. I made sure I set up the mics in an array so that I got all that. I think it's basically a string quartet, like +2 and an extra violin.
Okay.
But it sounds big because of the arrangement.
Right.
Really.
And just the spacing.
And it's a great arrangement. What I love about that arrangement is that Steve sent me an arrangement. I polished it. You polished some more on the front end, and then I polished some more on the back end. So there are 3 people that arranged those strings.
Well,
and
then by the time Kathy came in, she looked at it, and Therese too, right? They both had some input about like, well, this works, this doesn't, and
Therese actually liked her parts. She just kind of went with it. Kathy did make a couple small corrections for me, and then of course she
and then she wrote her solo.
Yes.
Yeah, which really gives like a Kansas kind of vibe to that song, particularly. When I play that song for some people, at first they're like Styx. They hear Styx, and then the more it progresses, they're like, this song's very Kansas-like, Yeah. But it doesn't sound like Kansas, and it doesn't sound necessarily like Styx. No. It's just the influence is unmistakable. You know what I mean? It's undeniable that it sits in that pocket. Yeah. So we're working on it. We got a ways to go, and we're working on the 3rd record already too. We're already in pre-production there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so
getting ahead of ourselves.
There's just no time, right? And meanwhile, you're doing tons of stuff. You got a lot of stuff.
I've got quite a few things. I've got outside clients,
Yeah, what's up with this Jonathan Stewart record? Now, like Chris Holmes from Wasp is on this.
Which I don't know if I'm going to use them.
All right, but who else is on it? Like
Steve Grimmett,
the guy Steve Grimmett from Grim Reaper.
Yeah, Michael Betillo.
He's the guy who plays ambidextrous guitar.
He's the one that backed out. He's the one I brought Chris Holmes in.
Did he back out?
He backed out. His mom got COVID or something, and then when that came back around, I don't know. I guess he didn't want to get back on board. So we got Chris Holmes, but I don't know. But we got. But we've got Steve Grimmett. There's this guy, man. I wish I had his name off the top of my head. That he ended up doing 2 or 3 vocal tracks, and this guy's actually.
Is it Ethan Foxx?
Oh well, Ethan Foxx did. Yes, you did one too, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm going to be on that one.
Yeah, you did one. Pete played on a couple tracks. Steve, I brought Gerard Gonsalves in. DJ Nelson.
Ken's on there
Andy
too,
Black.
Isn't he?
Ken played bass on 3 songs.
Yeah.
So we got
Ken. How do you say Ken's last name?
Pacini.
Okay, Pacini. I always say KP Blades or whatever. He's got kind of another name on Facebook. It confuses me sometimes.
Yeah, I'm gonna run over here to Rich's page because
this is another guitar player who's submitted tracks.
This is the guy that's doing this Jonathan Stewart thing, and there's this singer, man. He's just this guy.
So Jonathan Stewart had written all these songs he had put together. He was going to do this thing, and while he was in the original pre-production, he realized that he was having some complications with his voice, and then he went and found out he had cancer of the throat, was it?
Yeah, throat cancer. Yeah, it's awful.
And it quickly moved.
It quickly moved.
So this project was like
it just
more than half done, but it just didn't get finished.
Didn't get finished.
So now this guy Rich is making sure that this project gets finished.
And when I saw that he was trying to work on it, I reached out to him. I said, Jonathan was paying me to bring in some musicians and track and what have you, and I think Jonathan probably, he had paid me in advance for a lot of stuff. So, I offered to, get in here and do some of this. Of course, I got more hours in it now.
Way more.
It's like, holy moly. But still.
Especially with all these different session players.
This guy, Berzin Onen. Are you familiar with this dude? I know we don't. This isn't customary to do this when we're talking, but
There's no rules. Do whatever.
it goes to this dude here, man. Can I play this? Let me play this real quick.
Now, what is his instrument?
He's a vocalist.
Sounds like Queensryche kind of.
He's doing a cover of Iron Maiden's tune. Wait, this guy's name.
Yeah, he's a solid singer. I can see him totally on that stuff.
And
And Jonathan Stewart was a solid singer.
Oh yeah. Jonathan had an interesting voice, man.
Yeah, I mean, at times he was up there like King Diamond.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, just super high range.
But Berzin actually, his name is Berzin, Berzan, and then his last name is Onen. He's killer vocalist. He's been doing a lot of stuff on Facebook. Anyway, Rich got him to do a couple tracks, the last couple that we needed, and so everything's pretty much done. I actually have played around with doing strings on one of the tracks, and Rich seemed he seemed like he thought that'd be a good idea. So I'm actually thinking about calling the girls to do some strings on it too.
Yeah, I can't wait till we can get a good mix and send in what we have. I don't know. I don't know that they've heard what we.
I sent them both. Not like last month. You had asked me if I'd sent it.
Yeah, but with the keys, the most recent.
Yes.
Oh, good.
So, yes.
Yeah. So they've heard it. Well, so let's talk then real quick. So you've got the Jonathan Stewart project. You've got the HereAfter 2s getting ready to come out, the Purified record.
Yep. I just finished the Sin 73 record.
Sin 73, another, right? And then you guys just put out like an anthology.
It's an anthology. It was...
oh, that's what this is.
We had done that. No. We just recorded a new record.
Oh, okay. So
the anthology came out at the end of last year, and it was the first 3 records we'd done. You know, that whole... it was like 3 records storyline.
Yeah, a big storyline.
Yeah. And so it's and I again, it's too bad there weren't labels to pick some of that did that took on some of that stuff, because that was interesting. I mean, it's a 3 CD set. It was kind of
a continuous storyline.
Yeah, and I listened to it not too long ago, and I was like, man, this was a real good idea. It just.
Well, and that's the thing, is that so many people just they throw this blanket assumption that nobody's interested in that stuff, that everybody wants to just download this song and this song. And I guess when you look at the industry as it is, that is the norm. Yes, that is the norm. But you could say that there is a following for everything. You know what I mean? There are people who sit down and listen to concept records. There are people who buy up nothing but vinyl. There are people who, I mean, you would think 8 tracks, the people sit around and listen to about 8 tracks. So there are audiences for certain things. There are no rules.
I want to hear the HereAfter on vinyl.
I do too. The thing that worries me is that it's so long. I mean, we're just under 80 minutes. 13 songs. We're barely going to fit on a CD. And then when you look at like the way the songs fall, it's so hard to find any continuity to say side 1, side 2, side 3, side 4, because it would have to be at least a 2-record set.
Have to be. In order to sound really good.
Yeah, I mean, what do you get? Like 20 minutes a side on vinyl?
Yeah, I mean,
and then the deeper you cut that groove, the better sounding vinyl, the shorter you can actually, or the less amount of time you can fit on one side. Mm-hmm. It cuts deeper, wider grooves, right? So, I mean, that's the thing. Is like if we could make it sound really thin, but it sounds great digital, and we haven't even, it's not even mixed yet.
No.
I mean, we're just, like, you've been carving a little bit here and there, like you're kind of like tweaking the mix as we go, so it's not...
I'm starting to mix Tar Sense. That's going to be the first track I'm going to mix. I'm starting on Monday, so we'll start working on that 4-song demo. We have the tracks. We did the tracks already, so they're ready to go.
Yeah, those 4 are ready to go. It's just time for a proper mix where, You know, you're going and carving an EQ, doing final finishing touches, all that stuff. And then, but yeah, all the tracks are there, right? The more I listen to it, the more I think, oh, I want to put this on there, and I have to really set back and be like, yeah, nothing else. Yeah, I think everything that it needs is there until Eric fills in whatever's left.
And the other thing I'm doing is I may be sometime within the next 4 months, 4 to 6 months, I may be going to Hawaii for 3 weeks to work with some friends of mine on the Big Island. They asked me to, oversee some production.
Yeah, so you're going to be sitting in the recording studio there, producing that. It makes more sense for you to go there than for them to come here.
Yeah, it would be cheaper to fly me out and throw me a few bones than for them to all fly out and then rent time when they have a pretty good studio out there that they're kind of in cahoots with, because it's going to be.
Well, it makes way more sense for you to have a vacation to Hawaii.
Sure, it does.
And you can run into Gerard and stuff and hang out, all that stuff. Now let's go back to the Hawaii connection here real quick, because again, you are super busy with the Tin Idols productions. You've got the Jesus Christ Superstar heavy metal.
Yes, Jesus Christ Supernova. That was
Supernova
in 2012. That was actually the first one I did with.
Right, and that one is amazing. Anybody who likes the Jesus Christ Superstar is gonna love. Well, anybody who likes that and heavy metal. Right. Yeah. So it's a very interesting take on it. And Gerard does all these interesting things, like where he'll do a heavy metal Partridge Family or Duran Duran or lots of different ways of looking at stuff.
Yeah, he's working on Duran Duran right now.
Yeah. So how many you've been nominated, at least because you get production credits. You've been nominated on a lot of.
Yeah, I would only get the awards for certain ones depending on how it's listed, what's listed in there. But the records have been nominated. So, but yes, I have had a few nominations.
Yeah, and you got one Hoku Award off of which record was that?
The Storm records, the two Storm records were the ones that won. They're the ones, and Gerard mixed the one their last one, and of course they won again. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, good for them. One thing I thought was really interesting is these new records with Sandy, where
the Hawaiian records.
Yeah, where it's like Hawaiian music, and so Sandy usually sings the metal with Gerard's stuff. Yeah. With Storm, she's the vocalist, and we have her on the HereAfter record as well. She's singing a track with us.
She's singing, and Gerard's playing on a track.
Yeah, it's same track, right? So they're both on that. But so recently, Sandy is it Sandy Essman? Is that how you say it?
Sandy Essman, yes. Her first record was actually Hawaiian. This one, the one that she did recently, is more local music. But it's not in Hawaiian. There's two different things. But
see, that's the thing about Hawaiian music, and I think that's why it's important to note that they just kind of kept their own award ceremony rather than getting lumped into the world category at the Grammys.
Yes.
Because Hawaiian music is so diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot would get lost in the shuffle otherwise.
It would definitely get lost, and it's just there's a lot of talent there.
Tons of talent.
There's just so much talent
in every restaurant, in every happy hour, and every.
You gotta look at it. When I lived in Hawaii, it was so just a normal thing. You go to someone's brother's birthday party.
They call it the hukilau.
Everybody's just it's ohana. It's a big family,
and everybody's playing,
and everybody's got a guitar. Everyone's playing an acoustic guitar.
Or a ukulele.
Yeah, or a ukulele, or
singing.
Singing.
Yeah, the voice is beautiful.
Or dancing. Yeah. Lots of hula and various kinds of Hawaiian dance. So it's just chanting. All of that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on musically.
And
so what kind of stuff is on Sandy's last record, though? Because it's not traditional Hawaiian music, but it's like Hawaiian
local artists.
Pop music from the 70s and 80s.
Music, jazz, pop music, jazz and pop, and Hawaiian artists doing English lyrical songs.
Yeah.
So
And then so it was like the golden era, or there was
Yeah.
a phase of music, and so she's taking some of those things, like the stuff that she grew up listening to,
Yeah.
and did covers of those songs, right? That's the Renaissance. Is that what it's called?
That's Renaissance 1 right
Yeah,
now.
she's
and
got volume 1 and volume 2.
She's
right?
working on volume 2, and of course they hijacked Pete for a lot of tracks on.
Why not,
on
dude?
Renaissance.
Why
2.
not? If you've got thousands and thousands of bass players in the world, why not contact Pete?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, just go right to Pete. You don't have to make any other choices. The guy is a monster bass player.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, kiss my lucky stars, man, that you were able to bring him in on the HereAfter project, man. It really, I think Pete is a really huge component to what the sound is, the way our sound is shaping out.
It's what I knew it would be. I knew it would be. I knew. You know, he's still what I hear as a bass player. You know.
Yeah,
a bass player always.
Yeah, he's crazy good, and like he'll throw in all of a sudden this like funky kind of pop here and there, you know. But it's not just that, you know what I mean? And he plays, sometimes it reminds me of Steve Harris, but it's not just that. You know, what I really like is his use of melody in his playing, you know, and counter melody, and that's the Paul McCartney thing.
Yeah, Pete just did a record. It's a heavily acoustic guitar, kind of Eagles-ish, with lots of vocal and what have you, and I'm actually working on that too. I'm mastering that for him.
Yeah, I like whenever he's like he just nods, you know, like here's something I'm working on. Careful, I'm not the only Pete Crane out there, right? You know, like
Right.
there's a lot of HereAfters out there too, right? You know, a lot of all that stuff. It's hard sometimes to find exactly what it is, but yeah, dude. I mean, Pete's spot on. But he says there's some people out there with his name who are just not.
Yeah.
That, you know, so if you find it and you're like, I don't know, that's not Pete. But if you find it and you're like, yeah, that's good, that is Pete. That's how it works, right? That's the Pete Crane.
Yeah. Well, I could say I'm the only Jimmy Caterine who is a musician. So.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
Well, there you go. I wish I could say I was the only Ethan Foxx in the world. I am not.
You're probably the only Ethan Foxx who's like a hard rock singer, right?
Maybe, I don't know. There's an Ethan Foxx out there if you dig through enough of the Google search results, who like dresses up like a Furby or whatever. He's like a
Furby?
somebody who's like a fetish where they put on like an animal suit or whatever. And the funny thing is that I could tell everybody in the world all day long that's not me. But how do you prove that? You know what I mean? You'd never know.
Yeah.
I mean,
wouldn't know.
yeah, but it's not me. You know, but it could be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thing. You don't know. I mean, it's somebody in a costume, but it is not me. But it could be.
True.
So it's the weirdest thing. So what else is happening, Jimmy? What's on the horizon?
Well, for right now, that's it. I'm playing in a local band called Unfiltered.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. You've got Heath Underwood.
Heath Underwood. Yeah.
And I can't remember the drummer's name. This is so it's Black Horse. It's the remnants of Black Horse.
It's Tony Samora and Jim Nugent and Heath Underwood from Black Horse, but this is a whole different thing. I mean, we are.
Well, this is your performing.
We are playing
group. This is the band you're
right
most
now,
likely to see on stage with you.
At this moment. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got other
Deirdre,
things.
of course, but everybody knows about that.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, and I had completely spaced my mind. You've got a lot of shit going on, man.
It's crazy. Right?
Yeah. So how many records have you done with Deirdre?
I've just been playing on the current one that she's doing. So
okay, so for the most part, you're just in the performing band. You're not on the recordings.
I'm in the performing
as much?
band. I've done several guitar tracks, but not the whole record. I mean, it's been a combination between myself and Deej and Colby. Colby does a bulk of the work because he writes the music with Deirdre.
Yeah.
But then we get in there and we get our flair in there so that it's fun.
Yeah, and Dwayne Miller's in that
Dwayne
band.
Miller's in that band. James Coulon.
Yeah, that's right, James. Yeah. All right, so the Deirdre thing is still going strong.
Yeah. In fact, we make sure that even through this whole thing, we've made sure that we've had a rehearsal and a band dinner like almost every month, just so that we stay.
Yeah, just stay on
You
track.
know, so for when this thing is done, and I guess we're feeling like it's done, but we'll see.
All right, so you got that, you got Unfiltered, and you guys are playing again.
We'll be playing in our next gig isn't until July 17th, but we've had all the gigs that we played. We just played 3 in a very close close proximity.
Yeah. Well, what's the other thing though? You and Heath one Sunday every
one
month.
Sunday, first Sunday of the month. Yeah, we're doing it at Kimmy's. It's like a jam. It's an acoustic jam. It's acoustic open mic jam. So, yeah. If any of y'all did that turn off?
No, it's still going.
Yeah, if any of y'all want to come down and see us or play, we want you to bring your guitars and play.
First Sunday of every month.
First Sunday of every month
at Kimmy's on Greenway.
On Greenway, yeah.
All right, so you got that, and then you've also still got HereAfter going on.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. We had a little issue the other day.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll work out that I sing that one with you. I don't know what the schedule's like, but
maybe August 20th. We'll look.
I'll look into that if you don't have someone else lined up.
I didn't see you working. I think I saw. I did look at the calendar after you asked me. But
yeah, if I don't have anything going on, yeah, I could dust a lot of that stuff off, and we could do that. So HereAfter's still happening, and then of course just lots and lots of record projects.
And my 3-piece, but my 3-piece is HereAfter without a lead singer.
Right, right, exactly. Hey, do you have any kind of like website or any kind of thing that has like all the different things you're in to where somebody could go look at that and find everything else?
This is actually what I'm doing. I actually spoke with a friend of mine recently. I've been having a lot of trouble with the back end of my website, not understanding how to get in there and do some things. So I finally found someone who's going to help me. So that is my actual.
So what is your website? I mean, in the meantime, I mean, it's at jimmycaterine.com or is it?
jimmycaterine.com, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Or is it the Musical Chemist?
I own them all, but that's
so you've got all the URLs. You just don't have a lot of web stuff created.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of web stuff created just because. So I just use Facebook.
Yeah. So on your Facebook page, though, you've got all your different projects listed in your information.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody wants to go look, I mean, there's just so much stuff you have out there. We've got to figure out like how to get it all organized to where people can go easily find it, or
I'm such a freelance.
Maybe like a master Spotify page or something that has everything else.
I've been so freelance my whole life, and I haven't really, I always have too much to do.
Yeah.
So because I always have too much to do, I never really think about. Trying to drum up more business or this or that. So it's just kind of, but yeah, I get what you mean. It's just get all my bands out there. That helps.
Yeah. And you and I both are like this. We just keep plowing forward. Yeah. It's like, I'll make something, I put it out, and I just go to the next thing. You know what I mean? And I never really put any time or effort into promoting anything because that's not what I want to do, man. I want to keep making shit.
Yeah.
So for you and I both, like if we can ever figure out how to do that, how to promote that stuff, you know what I mean, and make that as fun and interesting as making something new, it'd be a lot easier to manage our stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, my point about the website is I have all the parts. I own a server. I have I've got all of my domains. So it's just a matter of someone showing me or helping me make a website for this and a website for this and a website for that and link it all together so it becomes cohesive. So, if a person's just looking for this, they can find me here. If they're looking for this, they can find me here. But if they're interested in the whole thing, I still want them all.
Yeah, if everything trunks from jimmycaterine.com.
I still want everything to.
So that's what I'm trying to do with mine. Like the ethanfox.com, like it's real hard to try to figure out like how to have a section for me as an artist, me as an author, me as a musician, and then trunk out all the musician stuff into the various projects. It's really hard, but it seems to me like the smartest thing, either way is to just trunk it all up to myname.com, yourname.com, and then maybe just do /this project /that project to where it opens up pages within a master website.
Yeah. It's just, you need like the searches. You need things to latch on to specific things.
Yeah, that's a science in
and
itself.
So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next couple weeks too.
Now you guys, you have a wiki page too, right?
No,
you don't have a Wikipedia.
I don't.
I thought there was one for Sacred Rite.
Or that
someone had gone in and
there's a Sacred Rite.
Yeah, so it shows. Yeah. And so various articles, all that stuff. But I guess that doesn't link directly to your music.
There's probably a wiki page for me if you go look. I don't know.
Yeah. So they can find you. People can find you online. People can find your stuff, searching the stuff.
Just spell my name correctly, Jimmy Caterine. It'll
Caterine. Jimmy Catman.
Yeah, you just get on there and just Google away. You'll be reading for days. It'll be unfortunate because you'll be going, man, okay. Then
there's a lot.
Yeah,
69 record credits. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's a pretty long career. I mean, I remember like at one point I saw your resume back when it was like under 50. And it's pages and pages of all this stuff you've done. I mean, keep it straight. Good Lord, crazy. Man. Yeah.
Hey,
prolific career.
So I make a living. I just don't make a great living. No, it's just.
But isn't that a great living? You're doing what you want to do, living. Right?
It's
you know what I mean?
Living. I love it. I do what I want to do. I have enough. I have a house. I have cars. I have a studio. And I don't need anything else.
Yeah. You got all the tools you need to keep yourself happy.
Absolutely.
And you're making money off your tools. Yeah, you got the whole thing going on, man. The whole Jimmy Caterine package.
I set my life up this way. I said, no matter what, I'm gonna do this always. But in order to do that, you have to take all those avenues. You just have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to play it safe. But at the same time, anybody working on a fixed income does, right? So you make sure you don't get overextended. You make sure you got consistent work coming in. Yeah, that's just the way people do it, man. Yeah. So beats the hell out of working part-time at Circle K.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up, man. We've talked a lot about a lot of different things. So
we talked about us. We talked about me. We've talked about our friends. This got everybody.
Yeah. Did we get everybody?
I think so. Did we? I hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Let's talk. Oh, wait. You know what? We got a couple more guests that real quick that I just want to mention on the HereAfter Purified record.
Yeah,
we have Randall Stands with Bear playing flute.
Yes.
We have Lisa Belladonna on a track as well, on the same track.
Yep.
And Roy Young is doing some extra vocals here and there.
Extra vocals to give us.
So, and that's another project you did. You've got that song Red, White, and
Blue. Yeah.
Red, White, and Blue with Roy Young, and that's out there, and that's a really special song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah, Red, White, and Blue. And so that one, that one's out there. How is that out there right now? I know you guys released it a little bit.
Just on YouTube. Like everything,
it's not on Spotify yet or whatever. It's
it should be. I think I should
yeah.
get it there.
That's a song worth checking out. Roy's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does.
And lyrically, that's a song of substance. That's something to be checked out. So now I think we've got just about everything covered, right?
I did.
All right. Well, Jimmy, thanks for coming over and hanging out with me today, man, and help me figure out some of these equipment bugs. You're always good like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't figure out the one bug.
Well, I think the one bug is
not being able to.
It's a flaw in the design of the equipment. So yeah, it is. We found
a few things.
Yeah, a few things. So anyway, but we had a good time, and of course we recorded some tracks today with the guitars, and we're going to have those kind of going around separately. And
ate some good tacos.
Yeah,
the tacos only you know how to make.
Yeah,
they're the best. They're
Thank
the best.
You, man.
Ethan makes the best tacos. I
make some steak tacos.
I like sit at home and I start having cravings.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I'm glad you could come over and have tacos with me, man. It's fun to hang out. Everybody, thanks for tuning in and listening to these two blowhard People talking about themselves. We appreciate it. We appreciate your interest. And Jimmy has lots of stuff, lots of Sacred Rite stuff to be listened to check out. If you missed Sacred Rite in the 80s, you owe it to yourself, if you are a fan of metal, to go and check some of this stuff out, because it is every bit everything that you would have listened to in that time period and thought, this is it. This is it. It's all right here. And it's so if you missed it then, it's not too late to check it out now, right? If you're looking for... Right. I like rediscovering things too. Like, I made up my mind years ago, like, I'm not a fan of Megadeth. And then somewhere like maybe 10 years ago, I was like, I'm a fan of Megadeth. And I went and bought all that stuff and just devoured it. At some point, I decided I don't like Scorpions, and I went back and listened to all the Scorpions, and holy shit, boy, was I wrong.
Good stuff.
Shane just sent me a whole bunch of Kiss, right? Because I was kind of poo-pooing Kiss. So I'm going to give that a second listen and see, if it grabs me better this time around. But there's clearly a lot of stuff that I just flat out missed that I didn't realize was happening. Yeah. And Sacred Rite is absolutely one of these. I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. I'm glad I missed it back then, because it would have changed our dynamic big time, in working together. And so I think we got a good thing going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I would have been a complete fanboy. I mean, it would have blown my mind listening to that stuff back then, man. It for sure. It sits right up there with Iron Maiden. It sits right up there with all the metal stuff that was happening. Yeah, it's good stuff. So everybody, check it out if you get a chance. If you've overlooked it, go and check it out and enjoy it. All right, thanks for tuning in.